It's September 1995. The uncrowned king of pool is getting his very own licensed video game.
You can put 2 8-year-old kids on a pool table and go to Europe for a week. When you come home, those 2 kids will still be at the table playing pool.
Rudolph Wanderone from the old American city of New York spent his young life soaking in the smoky aroma of pool halls. From the 1930s and beyond, pool hustling was how he paid the bills and made his living.
Ace on the side.
In the 60s, a movie called The Hustler hit theaters. Wanderone watched it and insisted its character Minnesota Fats was based off of him, even though its creators denied this. Too bad, Walter Tevis. Minnesota Fats became Wanderone's immortal nickname.
Minnesota Fats is to pool what Muhammad Ali is to boxing.
He spent the later half of life chasing his pool rival, Willie Mosconi. Their victories over each other went back and forth for years, with millions of people watching their televised matches.
Man's been champion, now he's 16 times champion. I've been champion of the earth ever since the turn of the century.
On ABC, their 1978 game was the network's second most viewed sporting event, right behind the Muhammad Ali versus Leon Spinks boxing rematch. But in 1995, Fats had the last laugh. He got his own video game, and Mosconi did not.
Minnesota Fats, pool legend.
Developed in Japan by Data East with outsourced FMV cutscenes, Side Pocket 2 came out for the Sega Saturn. It was brought to the United States for both the Saturn and Sega Genesis. Uh-oh. How is it so easily ported to the Genesis? It's all sprites with no
Creamy 3D graphics.
Of course, being sprite-based doesn't make Minnesota Fats a bad video game. It's actually a very well-done pool simulator. Physics seems spot on. Aiming your shot is easy, and you can also decide what part of the ball your cue hits. It even lets you do jump shots. How hard you hit the ball relies on timing. You stop the coin on this power meter when making your shot. It has your standard game of 8-ball, additional billiards rule sets, trick shot challenges, a tournament mode, and 2-person multiplayer. It's a highly functional pool sim, but since we are in the mid-90s, the up-and-coming concept of full motion video is thrown in for a story mode. This is where the game really shines. There is never a dull moment in these wonderfully acted cutscenes.
Hey, how you doing, Fats? What are you up to?
Oh, hi, Fred. I'm waiting for Junior. He's supposed to stop by sometime today.
Hey, Pops, Fred.
Junior, how have you been? Sit down.
In story mode, you play as Fats, the legend himself. A man by the name of Big G is cheating his way around your pool halls.
It's interesting, Fats. Can we hurry this up?
Junior, don't be obnoxious with me. I'm the one known for that.
Fats says he's too old for hustling, so he asks Junior to take Big G down.
Okay, I'm game.
Fats! Fred, watch it, don't break the door!
Junior's got himself in trouble. Look at this.
Junior, I can't believe he actually joined up with Big G.
Let's dissect this one. The purpose of this scene is showing the audience that Junior went against Fats' wishes. He joined up with Big G instead of taking him down. Fred enters the scene with so much urgency that Fats thinks he might destroy the building.
Fred, watch it, don't break the door!
Then Fred slams down the newspaper, symbolically showing that Junior's betrayal was so groundbreaking, print journalists felt the need to alert the general public. Then we cut to this close-up of Fats' face. In one mere second of film, actor Joe Godano uses nothing more than his facial expression to convey thousands of words and emotions. With just this iron gaze, you can see the pain in his eyes. The memories of raising Junior rush rapidly into his head. The moment he said his first word, the first time he called him Pops, when he picked up his first pool cue, learning this ancient sport under the wing of its most legendary player. All that time spent being his father, teacher, and guide through the winding mazes of life, wasted, disgraced, and discarded, so Junior could disown his own family and join sides with the cheater who ceremoniously pissed all over Fats' pool halls for decades. This is the look of an emotion light years beyond sadness and disappointment. The word devastation criminally undersells what's going through this man's mind. And after this first phase of accepting the reality presented on the sheet of paper before Fats, the true purpose of his life is fully realized.
What happened? I gotta put a stop to this.
Fats, you're not going yourself, are you? Big G's a pretty big guy these days.
Oh, yes, I am. Basically, when you want to get things done right, you gotta do it yourself, Fred. A hustler hustles for the love of the thrill and the skill. Money is there to enhance the thrill, not to drown in it.
So you make your way across the country and challenge all of Big G's associates. There's only 4 stages. Your first challenger is in Los Angeles, past this intimidating bouncer.
Hey, where do you think you're going? Oh, Minnesota Fat!
This is Tina, a red-headed firecracker loaded with attitude and fierce billiards precision.
Why, you here to join up with Big G and company too? Oh, I see. So you're after Big G.
This first bet, $500,000? Minnesota Fats means business. To you, this amount of money might seem like a generous retirement savings, but for Fats, it was Tuesday. You could buy a Sega Saturn game with that kind of money. If you lose, you get 3 more credits to try again. After beating Tina, you get to see some strange choices in video editing.
You got some brushing up to do before you can even try hustling Big G. What do I know about him?
Next, you take on Big Chungus in Las Vegas.
I've become quite a player in my own way.
This is where I learned the AI can either be really talented and precise or extremely bad. I won this game after the opponent sunk the 8-ball early.
You win.
At stage 3, you're already up against Big G himself. Look out, he's a really sore loser. Watch the pool kung fu after Fats hustles $2 million out of Big G's pockets.
Why, I treat you with respect, hospitality, and goodwill. And what do I get in return? You even hustle me out of my own limousine. Why, I oughta... Okay, I got a bit carried away.
It is at this point when the player finds out Fats was not taught by German poolmaster Erich Hagenlocker. His real instructor was Wushu world champion Jade Shu.
Why, I oughta...
Let's play it again, but with Ed, and Eddie sound effects.
Help me!
The 4th and final stage pits you against your own boy, Junior. With a babe in arm, you find your son let the glory get to his head, climbing the ladder of Big G's gang.
Look, Fats, I'm not your little Junior anymore.
Junior became so good at cheap tricks, he beat me in 1 strike, sinking the 8-ball on his first play before Fats had a chance to pick up the cue. I couldn't beat him.
You lose.
Maybe difficult AI isn't the problem. Perhaps I'm the problem. So to truly understand Minnesota Fats, I decided to try playing it in Minnesota. I still don't get it. Once the magic of story mode wears off, I tried my hand in some of the other game modes. While the physics are spot on, it can be hard to forgive how it looks. I'm not saying it has to be 3D or must have different camera angles. Being a sprite-based game is not a bad thing. But when you compare this to the Sega Genesis version, it doesn't look that much better. Other two-dimensional Saturn games pull off amazing and colorful sprites, so this is not more impressive than a 16-bit pool sim. And that's the only big flaw. It doesn't look bad, but it could have looked better. Magazine writers barely wrote about Minnesota Fats. It had plenty of advertising, but few reviews. The Genesis version generally got average scores, while the Saturn version was blasted. That being said, it had weird reviews. GamePro's Captain Squideo had accuracy issues in his write-up 3 months after the game came out. It said the graphics are unworthy of the Saturn and criticized it only having 1 camera angle. Those are both fair points. But then it says it's a sequel to Side Pocket for the Sega CD. That's wrong. It never came out for the Sega CD. It also says work through story mode to duel with the Fat Man himself. This is true in the Genesis version, but on the Saturn, you play as Fats, never against him. It seems like this guy barely knew what game he was reviewing, like his mind was stuck on the Genesis version for some reason. Next Generation reviewed it more than 1 year after the game hit shelves. They gave it 1 out of 5 stars, calling it a damn waste of packaging Sorry, Fats, you deserve better than this. Oof! An ancient sport, dating all the way back to the 1700s, caught the fleeting glance of Chairman Segata. While not impressed by the visual splendor of Minnesota Fats, he's generally alright with the game since it plays how it should. It just doesn't really do anything more than that. At this point in 1995, the Saturn still has a very limited library of games. It's been out for about 4 months, and Sega is still struggling to convince its fanbase that this is the gateway into the next generation of modern video games. By itself, Minnesota Fats is a fine pool sim. But releasing a game that clearly could have been done on 16-bit machines will not do Sega any favors. As GamePro put it, it will leave Saturn owners wondering what their new machine is capable of.
But get rid of this tux, Junior. A tuxedo on a pool player's like ice cream on a hot dog.
Even with the FMVs, Data East could have published this on the Sega CD. Not saying they should have, but it's a testament to how much potential was lost. For us living in the 21st century, try it out if you like pool games, or to show off the hilarious cutscenes to drunk friends. But don't expect this game to wow you. It won't. In January of 1996, at the age of 82, Fats passed away, less than a year after his video game hit store shelves. His tombstone reads, "Beat every living creature on Earth, St. Peter, rack 'em up." Destroying every human in a game of pool was not good enough for Minnesota Fats. Now he's out to beat God. We mortals may never know who won the holy pool match.